Happy to see you again. Welcome to Healthy for Life. This is week number 15, and we are going to talk about taking control of stressors today, which is everyone's favorite topic. I know. I think sometimes we like to talk about stressors more than we actually like to do something about them. So hopefully this will give you some good information. And you'll at least get a few nuggets out of it, even if you know some of this already. Hopefully something will resonate with you. So let me get the presentation started. Share. Awesome. So taking control of stressors. And I put this picture on here as usual on purpose because this is one of my best ways to take care of the stress I have in my life. And that would be outdoor time, right? You can see my family there to the right having some fishing time. But this was just a beautiful place. And I thought you might appreciate that picture. You might find it restful to get us started. So another nature picture for you. I took this one a little earlier this year on a hike to Mount Helena when the Bitterroot were out, and they were very beautiful. But does anyone have anything to share? Anything that you want to share with the group? Things that happened in the last week, questions that you might have? I know that's kind of a tall order, but I always like to give you the chance. Nope. All right. So I want to give you an opportunity to fill in your weight on your chart. And I sincerely hope that you've been keeping your weight on your chart. As part of this program, I am going to ask if you'd be willing to share your weight chart with me. I'm not going to ask you for that until next week, so that we can see how you did for the first 16 weeks. But the reason that I ask for you to share that is strictly for this program. It's not that I'm going to share that information with anyone else. It just helps me to, in a very tangible way, keep improving the program, because as you know, one of the main focuses of the program is to help with weight management, if that's a goal for you. So we like to know if the program is successful in doing that or not. So just preparing you for that ask that I'm going to send your way for next week. So I really hope you've been keeping track of your weight on your weight chart, and that you're willing to share that so that we can make the program even better. So if you have your chart and you've been keeping track of it, this is a really good week to take a look at that trend. And remember, we've talked to it up to this point that the weight chart is really about the trend. So keeping in mind your personal goals, and I recognize that you may or may not want to do weight loss. It may be something else, but keeping in mind your personal goals, just take a look at that and use it for the tool that it is. I see a comment in there that says, haven't lost a lot of weight yet, but my blood sugar is definitely coming down. Awesome. That's fabulous. I'm really glad to hear that. And you may or may not know, but blood sugar control is absolutely essential in order for weight loss to happen. So that might be finally moving you in the direction you want to go if weight loss is your direction. And in and of and by itself, that blood sugar level coming down and being more where it should be is going to help you be healthier and feel better and be able to do the things that you want to do. So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. So hopefully my talking gave you a chance to do that. See, I have another comment. I've lost weight, but I fell off the wagon the last couple of weeks. Getting back on this week and trying to really be vigilant about logging and getting veggies in. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think that's great. And it is, and this is something we're going to address, especially next week, the staying in the game presentation. But it is definitely something where it kind of ebbs and flows your motivation towards the thing. So don't ever get down on yourself if you fall off the wagon, as you put it. Try and really just say, what can I do from here forward, right? If I'm ready to get back on the wagon to keep that going, then do it, and try not to be hard on yourself if you weren't doing everything perfectly, because we're not perfect people and this is a journey for sure. So I appreciate you sharing that, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you some inspiration to keep on moving towards your goals. Another comment, I've been struggling with heartburn a lot recently. My diet hasn't been as good as it could be. Have you noticed heartburn related to the kinds of things that you're eating, like higher fat things, or eating more, or eating right before bed? A lot of those things can affect that too, but that's an interesting observation. Oh, struggling with heartburn and my diet hasn't been as good as it could be. I wonder if they're connected. They could be connected. I like milk, and I knew that can be a trigger. So maybe some more milk in your diet, and that was maybe causing some of the heartburn. Well, being aware is the first thing, right? So sometimes just talking through it, or in this case, typing it in the chat and then just having some time to think about it, sometimes that can help get you going back. So if you know milk is a trigger for you, then maybe that can be a goal that you make for yourself this week, is just to see if by changing that you can control the heartburn and feel a little bit better. Good. So I think most of us know the answer to this question. What is stress, right? I'm pretty sure we all know what this is. Stress is a normal physical response. That I'd like to put that out there first. We talk about stress most of the time like it's a bad thing, but stress is actually a very normal physical response to events that make you feel threatened or upset your balance in some way. It's physiological, which means it's an actual reaction that happens in your body. So this isn't an all in your head thing, even though that a lot of times that's what triggers it is your mind and the way that you're thinking about things. It is an actual physiological response. The fight or flight response, most of us have heard of that, right? So that's that emergency response. That's kind of not under our conscious control necessarily, where, like when something happens really suddenly, maybe there's a sudden noise and it startles you, and you might feel your heart rate comes up and you get all tense, your breathing goes up. That's you being ready to fight or run away because something startled you. It's a physiological response, and it is a normal, natural part of living our life. Comment says, stressed spelled backwards is desserts. Both are good in moderation. Yeah, it's true. Some stress is good. That's a great segue for the second bullet there. Some stress is good. I don't know if you've ever thought about stress as being a good thing, but it's that thing that keeps you sharp. It keeps you on your toes, sharpens your concentration. Think about when you have to do a presentation, right? You're like, when you're in the zone, right? That stress response can really be helpful when it's applied correctly. Helps you perform in a game, helps you perform at work in an event that's important to you. It can be a very good thing. It's not necessarily all a bad thing. I think that we'd agree that stress becomes an issue when you live in that stress state constantly. We're designed to go into it and then come back out of it, right? And to spend most of our time out of the stress state so that it's not a bad thing when we go to the stress state. It actually is helpful because it's a natural, normal response to whatever's happening in our life. It's when we get there and we stay there constantly that it can really cause a lot of trouble. So what kinds of things cause you stress? So think about that stress response. Some of you may be more aware of it than others, but it's kind of that response that happens where your breath goes up into your chest, you take shorter breaths. You can feel like your stomach gets tight. Like I feel like my stomach gets tight. I hug my stomach in and I feel tense, like in my shoulders. My eyes and my face have a tendency to, kind of not necessarily frown, but pull in. Headaches. I'll get headaches a lot when I'm having the stress response. And that stress response, think about situations or things that happen to you in your life that trigger the stress response for you, that trigger that tense and grinding your teeth and not breathing appropriately and headachy and whatever it is for you. Tell me what they are. Write it in the chat. It's unexpected deadlines. Oh yeah. When you show up and somebody's like, you got to get this done. It needs to be done yesterday. And it has to be done before you can do it. Yep. Unexpected deadlines. Good one. What else you got? Come on, type it in the chat. Screaming, arguing kids. Oh, yes. Totally. Yes. Whether they're your own or others. We actually have a physiological response to kids crying. Did you know that? It's designed to make us do something. Financial worries. Oh, yes. Very good one. Financial worries. Come on, give me some more. Give me some more. Been feeling stressed about our puppy who has decided she likes to get up at 1:30, 3:45, and 5 a.m. That's awesome. Not having enough work to do can make you feel stressed. Spouse, in-laws visiting, too much to do and not enough time to do it in. State fiscal year end. Is that happening right now? It just recently happened. You're probably still dealing with the fallout too. Spouse and health issues, confrontations, conflict. Did I say in-laws visiting? That was there. Health issues, COVID. The heat makes me stressed. Money stresses and kids. Yeah. People ignoring COVID vaccination as an RN who cares for patients with COVID. Yep. So I asked you the question on purpose, not necessarily so that you can get stressed about other people's stresses, but so that you can identify a little better what it is that causes you stress. So whatever it is that you started thinking of when I started pushing you to really identify something and type it in, whatever that thing was that you started thinking of, that is your stress identification. That is a good place for you to start. If you feel like you're stressed a lot, you have that term in your head and you feel that way a lot, then think about what you thought about. That is your stress identification. That is a great place for you to start. The other thing that I want you to recognize, and it might be something that's going to take you a little bit of time to really feel it, is when you're dealing with those stresses, when you're thinking about them or when you're in that situation, what response do you have? What is it like for you when you get stressed? And I ask you this on purpose because it's the number one best way you can start to manage stress and your stress response is by identifying what your stress is and what your stress response is so that you can feel it as it starts to happen and employ the management techniques to calm yourself down, right? There's another comment in here. Fell off my horse and broke 5 ribs and have 2 compressed vertebrae fractures. So have been off of work. I feel stressed that I've had to be away from work. Will they still need me once I'm well? Oh, yes. Yep. Health concerns, being in pain is a huge stressor. And work, yeah, worrying about the things that you need to do. That is a huge stressor. Absolutely. Okay, so hopefully you've all had time as we've talked through this to identify things that cause you stress and to think about what your stress response is. And again, remember, if you're not really in touch with this, if this isn't something you haven't delved into before, then this might take you a little bit of time to identify what your stress response is, but it's really necessary so that you can start to manage it. So for me, I know my stress response is my belly starts feeling tight, like tight. And I know that I can manage that by taking a deep breath. Did you hear me do it? As soon as I started thinking about it, I took that deep breath, I relaxed my belly, set my shoulders back. I know we've talked about that before. That's just what works for me. It might work for you too. There might be something else, but that's the number one thing. Identify your stress, identify what your response is to it. A coworker shared with me, her mother told her, you can work stressed or you can work relaxed. I keep that suggestion on my desk so I can purposely relax and breathe. Yes, I love that, Alice. That is fabulous. That's exactly right. In fact, I was just talking with another parent, and he was sharing about his daughter. They have some sort of it's like a Wii program or like a video game kind of thing. But it has biofeedback integrated into it, and they use it for kids so that kids can tell when their heart rate is starting to come up and their breathing rate is starting to come up, because when they do that, they have to be able to manage it in order to win the game. They have to be able to calm back down again. And as he was talking about that, I was like, what a cool thing is that? Like, that's not just for kids, that's for us, right? Wouldn't it be great if we could do that at work, so that instead of working stressed, we can work relaxed? So we can learn that. It's a skill. It's something that you can learn and you can get better at. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Lifestyle change is stressful. Above and beyond all this other stuff that we just identified, I want you to think about the fact that you are involved in Healthy for Life. This is lifestyle change, and this is stressful. I'm going to float the idea to you that any kind of change is stressful, right? Any kind of change is stressful, because think about what your brain has to do. Your brain can't go on autopilot. It has to think about every little thing all day long, right? And that can cause a lot of stress. And I'm sure that you can think of some ways that the Healthy for Life program can cause you stress, right? What's an example of that you could think of? Like Healthy for Life, trying to keep track of that darn food log, right? Getting on the scale. That's a great one. Yep. That one popped right up there. Getting on the scale. Yeah. Trying to keep track of the food and fitness log. It was mac and cheese day earlier this week and I skipped it. Yeah. Good job. Stress can be caused by setting yourself a goal that you are not able to meet. Stress can be caused by the scale. It can be caused by the food and fitness log tracking. It can be just that extra having to pay attention all the time. It can be the introspection, which is not a comfortable place to be. Thinking about things that cause you stress and how you feel when you're stressed is not comfortable, right? Thinking about how to deal with difficult people in your life is not comfortable. It's not a comfortable thing. So all of those things can cause stress just within the Healthy for Life program. Extra time spent in food prep, shopping, planning, right? All that extra stuff that you have to do, right? That you have to fit into your life that was busy to start with. Guilt at not doing everything. Guilt can cause a ton of stress. You feel deprived, like you're not getting to eat the things that you want to eat or do the things that you want to do. Trying to add activity to an already busy schedule. Finances already came up. Family worries, children, right? So think about if you have any avoidable stress. And I put this picture on here on purpose. Do you think this is avoidable stress? This is a picture I took earlier this year. I don't know if you remember when it snowed like 2 feet, like 2.5 feet in one night, like in 8 hours. Like we went to bed and there was this much snow, and we woke up and there was that much snow. I had woken up to go teach a class. I teach a class at 8 a.m. on Saturday mornings, and I had woken up to go teach it. And when I turned on the light to our deck, that's what it looked like. That is definitely not avoidable stress, is it? I did it the week we moved here to Montana from Colorado. Yeah, welcome to Montana. Yeah, it was pretty exciting. That is not avoidable stress. You can't, I mean, if it's going to snow 2 feet, it's going to snow 2 feet. So when you're dealing with unavoidable stress, then that's where you employ these stress management techniques we're going to talk about. But if you have avoidable stress, you have the power to take that out of your life. I'm not saying it's easy to do that, but if there's avoidable stress, and I'm going to float the idea that there is a lot more avoidable stress than you think there is, it just requires you to avoid it, which is an interesting thought, isn't it? So how do you cope with unavoidable stress? Find better ways to cope. Oh yeah, that's like telling somebody to run faster in a track and field meet, right? Find better ways to cope. Catch yourself early and break the chain. If you're having that stress response, right? Remember we were talking about, like for me, to use my example, my belly starts getting tight. And I've been working on it in the last few years, just with the other, health issues and whatever else happening. I have become more aware of what I feel like when I'm having a stress response. And so I'm better able to catch that early in the train and to start that deep breathing before it just like ramps up and up and up until it's just totally out of control. So again, that's practice, catching yourself earlier and earlier in the chain. Do something that helps calm you that does not include food. I know food is calming in many ways in that instant, right? Because it triggers those endorphins in your brain, especially sugary food. But there are other things that will trigger those endorphins in your brain as well. So thinking of coping mechanisms that do not include food. Food may be something that's like your fallback thing, right? That's your, I'm stressed, I'm not thinking clearly, I'm totally emotional thinking, I'm not using the logical part of my brain. That's what I default to because that's what I've done for years. So think about it now. Try a coping mechanism. Does it not include food? Move those muscles. Activity reduces tension and anxiety and can counter depression. And I'm going to talk about activity more during this presentation because activity is one of the best ways to manage stress. Breathe. Take a full deep breath. All right, let's all do this. Wherever you're at, sit up, lay down, stand up tall, right? Eyes can be open or closed. It's totally up to you. Think about how you feel. Think about how your body feels just for a moment. All right, now set that to the side, eyes open or eyes closed. And let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose, nice and slow, like 5 seconds to breathe in if you can do it that slow. Feeding that breath down to your hip bones, down to the very bottom of your belly. And then once you've filled that up as much as you can, nice, slow exhale. Don't just let it all go, like kind of like you're breathing through a straw. And let's do that again, nice and slow. See if you can count to 5 as you inhale through your nose. And then out through your mouth, nice and slow. See if you can do it for 6 seconds, a little longer than your inhale. Let's do that again. Another inhale, nice and slow. all the way down, letting your belly expand. And then as you exhale, allow your shoulders to relax, allow your face to relax, till your breath is all the way gone. Now, before you move, if your eyes are closed, before you open them, think about how your body feels now. Does it feel different? Hopefully it does feel different. I find that even a couple of breaths can make a big difference. And if you keep going, it'll make even a bigger difference. So really, you could be in a car, you can be in a meeting, you can be anywhere you want. Your breath is always with you. And it is always something that you can harness when you start to feel that stress response happening, right? You can stay stressed, you can work stressed, you can work relaxed. See, I'm going to use that. So thanks for giving that to me. Take good care of yourself. That's what we've been working on. I definitely preaching to the choir on this one. We're all working on taking good care of ourselves, right? We're all working on getting plenty of rest, eating well, don't smoke or use nicotine of any kind. Limit how much alcohol you drink down and up to none. And even if you do drink, a drink every once in a while, each night, I mean, that's still technically in moderation. But if stress is really an issue for you, you might find that getting rid of alcohol completely until that stress is gone will be more helpful than you might think. So it's totally up to you. But again, alcohol, maybe not the best way to cope. Try out new ways of thinking. And I know that we've done several presentations to this point about changing your thought process. It truly is a lifelong process and something that you pay attention to. So as you start to identify stress, as you get better at it, and you will always be able to get better at it, and there will always be new stresses. So don't stress about that. It just is what it is. When you find yourself starting to worry, try and stop the thoughts, right? Try and redirect your thoughts. If any of you have done meditation of any kind, you know what I'm talking about with redirecting your thoughts. Your brain is designed to think, but it doesn't need to focus on that thing that stresses you out. You just change the focus, and you're gentle with yourself, right? Because your brain wants to go back to that thing. So as soon as you catch yourself back at that thing, you just redirect your thoughts, something else. Work on letting go of things you cannot change. That is the unavoidable stress, right? One of the best quotes I ever heard, and I'm going to paraphrase it. I'm probably not going to get it exactly right, but one of the best quotes I ever heard about stress was that stress is fighting reality. That is you fighting against reality. That's what stress is. I mean, it is what it is, especially unavoidable stress. So causing that bodily reaction and allowing that to sit with you maybe isn't the best choice to take good care of yourself. But again, it's something you have to get better at. You have to practice with it. And speak up. If there's avoidable stress, and a lot of this that we might see right now as unavoidable stress, truly is avoidable stress. We have to think about it differently though. So that's where we start to think about speak up. Not being able to talk about your needs and concerns creates stress and can make negative feelings worse. Remember the presentation that we did about being your own best advocate? You can go back and you can review that anytime. That is how you speak up for yourself, right? You think about what it is that you need, you make a plan, and then talk to the person about it and know what to do even if they say no. Super simple, not so simple in practice to do that for some of us. Assertive communication can help you express how you feel in a thoughtful, tactful way. And there's nothing wrong with asking for what you need. In fact, asking for what you need is a great way to get rid of avoidable stress. This is great stuff. I love this kind of stuff, but I know this isn't everyone's comfort place. So bear with me with this. Try not to let this presentation in and of itself cause you stress. Like I say, we're not expecting perfection from ourselves. We're just looking for maybe a tidbit or something that we can take away from this, that we can just continually get better, to live a healthier life, be a better us, right? So here's some more stress reduction relaxation techniques. Here it is again. Be active. Physical activity has many benefits, but one of them is that it can lead to better sleep. And better sleep, being rested, having our cup full when we start the day, is one of the best ways to manage stress reactions. It always reminds me of when I had my first child. And most of you know that new babies and new moms are, well, new moms, maybe not new babies, but new moms are extremely sleep deprived, like extremely sleep deprived. And I was to a point within the first couple of days where I was so tired that I was literally just like bursting into tears for no reason at all. No reason at all. Like I felt totally out of control, like I had no control over myself. And as soon as I was able to get a good night's sleep, even like 5 hours at a stretch of sleep, and actually start to refill my cup, I would look back at that and how I was behaving, and I would just be like, I was like not even myself. My ability to deal with stress was depleted because I was tired. So sleep is a big issue for a lot of us for many of reasons. Activity can really help with sleep. So it's a, start earlier in the chain. How can I make this work better at the end? I put on there yin yoga. I don't know if any of you have heard of this. It really can be any kind of yoga, but yin yoga is like relaxation yoga, where they spend the majority of the class working through relaxation meditation techniques. Like they talk you through breathing, and there's lots of different breathing techniques. I showed you just one. There's lots of other breathing techniques that you can use. There's conscious relaxation, there's visualization, there's so many things. So if you're not sure where to start with that, trying out a class or two of any yoga really, but yin yoga specifically is a whole class dedicated to it. I'm not saying you have to do it all the time unless you find it useful, but just a class or two can really help teach you the techniques in a hands-on kind of way. So I'm going to throw that suggestion out there if you like that. Meditation. A lot of times we think of meditation as like the woo-woo, right? Yeah, sitting around chanting or whatever, and that might not be your cup of tea. If it is, then that's great. But meditation really truly is any repetitive action, whether that action is breathing, whether that action is walking, whether that action is knitting, painting, doodling, sitting quietly, following your breath. Repetitive action, right? That's why you might find if you take a break from work and take a walk, not listening to a podcast, just letting your brain be, you might find that that is an awesome way to reset yourself and refresh yourself. It's a form of meditation. You can focus, like if your brain's being really busy, we call it monkey brain. It's really busy and it's this and this and this and this and focused on this thing and whatever. A lot of times it just needs a job, right? So give it a job. Focus on a word, or focus on your breath. Focus on a word, peace, maybe, or calm. A word like that can be really helpful. You might have heard of so hum. You can do that. There's also apps. In addition to going to a live class, there's apps. There's also yoga classes that are online. I've personally used Headspace and Simple Habit. I find them both to be helpful. Even the free version is a great way to start learning those relaxation, those breathing techniques. But I know there's lots more apps out there. Laughter, great way to decrease stress. Laughter of any kind, watching funny things, watching funny movies, comedy. I just got introduced to a podcast by my son, which is just like these guys sitting around in a room talking and they just make you laugh. Laughter of any kind, being with friends, laughing at your dog. Don't hold it back, let it come out. Try drinking some hot tea, a cup of chamomile or your favorite herbal tea, not caffeinated, maybe if you're trying to decrease stress, is a great way to relax. 5 minutes to focus and enjoy drinking it. And the key here is try not to multitask, right? Try to do just that one thing for that 5 minutes. Self-massage. Try it, just put your hand on your shoulders, have a little massage, or I got described as the shoulder roll girl. Oh, you can try it right now. Big shoulder roll. Setting your shoulders back now feels so good. Why don't we do it more often? Talk it out. Sometimes I think especially the woman half of the world need to talk about things in order to think clearly about them. We need to put it out there. So finding a trusted friend, a clergy member, family member, any of those people are great to kind of talk through issues that you're having, get it out of you so it's not festering. The Employee Assistance Program, that's what EAP stands for, also offers 6 free counseling sessions to all members of the State of Montana Benefit Plan. So please use those. Those can be over the phone or they can be in person. So please use those. Have some fun. Join a club, get together with friends. What is it that's fun for you? Make time in your life to do that. It really does help with the stress. I sat on the floor and pet the puppy. Hey, did you know that they've done studies that show that being with an animal, touching an animal, watching an animal causes a subsequent decrease in heart rate, decrease in stress hormones? Really, having a pet, and mine was just running around my feet, otherwise I'd show you to him or show him to you. There we go. Having a pet is very helpful in decreasing stress responses and making people healthier. That's why they bring animals into nursing homes, into hospitals, because seeing an animal, being with an animal is very helpful. Yeah. So awesome. I sat on the floor and pet the puppy. Perfect. Scientifically proven. Good job. I'm reading a book right now on stress reduction, and he emphasizes be the process, not the product. This has helped me in so many things in my life: washing dishes, working, chores, playing with the kids. Right. Essentially be present in the moment in what you're doing right now. Yep. Be the process, not the product. Another way to say that I've said before is it's about the journey, not the destination, right? Finding joy as you're doing things. I love that. That's great. What's the book called? What's the name of the book? Be interested to know. So if you wanted some more tips for the practicing mind, the book is called The Practicing Mind, if any of you are interested in that. So more tips for coping. I put this on here. This is just one of many resources that are out there. This is from WebMD, so they're usually a pretty reliable source of information. More tips for coping can be found there as well, if you would like. All right, everybody, let's think about our goals, or goal, depending on how it is together. If you're to concentrate on goal 3, that's the healthy living portion of your goal set. Based on your stress identification that we did earlier in the presentation, focus on one stress reduction idea. Now, I'm not demanding you make a goal out of this. I'm just letting you think through this. So you identified something that caused you stress and how that makes you feel. So what's one stress reduction idea you feel like you could take? Try writing down. Actually get a piece of paper. Right? Actually get a piece of paper and write down what's one stress reduction technique you could do. You know, one of my favorite ones is that I didn't even mention. It's not even yoga. It's just stretching. I stretch before bed, before I go to bed at night, and that's a really helpful way for me to go to sleep. So stretching might be one for me. Meditation is definitely important for me. And my form of meditation is walking. I like to walk. I like to do it with the dog too. It's really helpful for me. Write down any barriers you think you might run into with that. Time, right? You might not have time in the day to do it. What else? What else are barriers that you might run into with that? Now, again, remember, I'm not saying to you that you need to make this a goal. All we're doing at this point in time is taking the time for your brain to process it. Yeah, people can be the barrier. Absolutely, people can be the barrier. It's so true. Self-discipline. Want power, not willpower, right? Do you want it? So then you think about, is this something that I truly want to try and incorporate this week? Do I want to try doing it a few times and see if it's helpful for me or not? And remember, if you need to change the goals, then please do so. Just try and make them achievable for yourself. Positive thinking, stop, breathe, repeat. Did you notice that you had gotten tense even in that short time since we did the last breathing exercise and now? Yeah, that breath, try that breath, sitting up nice and tall, just one, in through your nose, down into your belly, and then out through your mouth, nice and slow, relaxing your shoulders. There you go. Yeah, feels good, doesn't it? One thing at a time. That's sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves when we start to feel overwhelmed, especially with lifestyle changes. Just one thing at a time. What is one simple thing I can do right now to get myself closer to my goal? Just dialing it back when we start to feel that stress response, especially from lifestyle changes. So the challenge, and if you did that when we were just doing the exercise, you've already done this challenge, to identify one source of frequent stress and make a plan to better manage it. So I would say the best way to do that is this avoidable or unavoidable stress. And if it's stress that I need to be, even if it's unavoidable in the short term, but avoidable in the long term, how can I manage it better? And then, of course, do what you've decided to do to meet your goals. Continue to keep your food and fitness log, please. Highly recommend it. Don't forget to do that. Bring any of your materials to our next webinar. Now, here, if you're watching the recording later, this is no news to you because all of the recordings have been recorded. But for next week's week 16 presentation, it's going to be a recording. We're not going to meet live next week. So I'm hoping to have it recorded and available for you starting on Monday of next week, but I'll be out of the office. Actually, yeah, I'll be out of the office for our 16th week presentation. So you're going to watch the recording of that. So when that's ready to go, I will send that to you and you can choose the time during your week to watch it that works the best for you. So I wanted you to know that next week's will be a recorded presentation. And then if you recall, 16 is how many weeks we do the weekly sessions. So after that 16th weekly session, then we won't have another one for a month after that. So I will send you that information and that calendar invite for that, but just wanted you to be prepared for that, along with the being asked for the weight chart, if you're willing to share that, which I mentioned earlier in the presentation, and I will talk about again during the recorded presentation for next week. Oh, it's the first time we've seen Calvin today. So I definitely relate to this Calvin right now in more ways than one, but he's getting up in the morning, he's reading some comics, going outside, playing games, taking funny pictures, digging for dinosaur bones, swimming, looking for bugs, playing more games, looking at clouds, fighting, throwing water balloons, torturing his neighbor, climbing trees, playing games, being in nature, then getting drug inside at the end of the day. And then he says, summer days are supposed to be longer, but they sure seem short to me. And Hobbs says, I'll say we didn't get to do half our itinerary. So even the fun things can cause stress during the summertime. It's so busy in Montana because we have to cram all of our summer into 3 months, right? And it's fun stuff and it's good stuff, but just remember, hopefully it's fun stuff and it's good stuff. I know it's not always fun stuff and good stuff, but wherever you're at, see if you can use some of those stress management techniques this week and see if it's helpful for you. And I sincerely hope that it is. Any questions that you have, I'd be happy to take those. But otherwise, I hope you have a great week. And let me know if I can help with anything in the meantime. Bye, everybody.